Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome back to another session, Virtual Coffee with Francois. And I'm very happy to be here again this morning. I'm really glad that I could be here this morning with you. And if you're joining me today, whether it's on YouTube or on LinkedIn, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your time. I'm really looking forward to today's session. And let me just say good morning to you. Good morning. Very nice to be, as I said, and I really hope you're going to enjoy today's session and that you're going to get a lot of value. I've got a great guest on this morning. I like bringing on guests every now and then so that we can break. You can't always just be looking at my face. Shame. It can turn into a long week if that happens every day for you. But be that as it may, I will still show up every day and be here to serve you and help you and just be here. So that we can go through all of this together and have a place where we can, have still have community and be part of a conversation, that is focused on the positive things and will take things forward, and where we can start to position ourselves for the recovery whenever that starts to happen. You don't want to be, getting up, and say like, okay, what's going on? Is things going better? And then trying to make a plan. So that's what we want to do. Anyway, so today my guest is Barrie van Zyl. Barrie is the head of account management at Iress here in South Africa. They are the guys, if you don't know, that does X-Plan. And then also, I don't know if you know this, but a lot of the JSEs, in fact, the bulk of the JSEs transactions run through Iress systems. So they're a really big player in the technology space in financial services in South Africa, a very important player. And I'm really privileged to have Barrie with me this morning. So Barry's only got half an hour, so I'm not going to waffle on this morning. What I do want to ask you is that if there's any comments or any questions you want to ask, please post them in the chat. If you do it on YouTube, I can show it on the screen and then share it with Barrie, and either one of us could answer your questions. And then on LinkedIn, please also then in the chat below, you can post it there. So on that note, good morning, Barrie. Nice to have you here. Thank you for taking the time to chat to us this morning.
Good morning, Francois. Thank you for having me on your virtual coffee session this morning. You're talking about your face for this. I hope people aren't worried with my face now on your little channel. But again, thanks for having me on your show this morning.
It's a pleasure, man, and I really appreciate the time that you're taking. I know you're extremely busy during this time. And it's great we were having a quick chat before we started, just like how smooth things have been running on your side. And if I say smooth, I'm sure there's a hiccup here and there, or every now and then as it goes with technology, but just suddenly getting into this place where people are working from all over. You've got a team of people that reports into you, and suddenly everybody's everywhere. And I guess in some sense, I don't know if anybody's ever been to Iress's office. It's quite a big office there in Fourways or in Bryanston, really. And it's like you are working remotely because sometimes people sit far from one another. I remember if I had to walk around there, to find someone was quite a mission in the beginning. But anyway, that's a little bit off the point. Barrie, I want to get going with sort of asking about, when it comes to technology, there's really two aspects that we think about, or that we need to consider, or that we have to deal with when it comes to technology. And on the one hand, we have the advancement of technology. In other words, how quickly technology changes, how quickly it gets better, or how quickly new technology is introduced to markets. And then on the other hand, we have the adoption of that technology. So you sit in a situation where, there's all this new tech, and then it comes so quickly that people just sit and watch and they do nothing. Or then they go and say, whoa, guys, if we don't do this, we may find ourselves very quickly in a position where we become irrelevant. And they try and adopt these technologies. And there's also some challenges there. So, I mean, what are you seeing in terms of these two aspects, Barrie, and just in terms of those two?
Francois, yeah, you make some good comments there, and I think there's a big contrast between those two, and we see businesses at each end of the spectrum when we look at how they are adopting technology and deploying that within their own businesses. So you're right. Technology has advanced at a rapid pace. We're sitting with about 50 billion smartphones at this point in time in the world, considering that we're only a population of 7 billion. And these smartphones are really connecting everybody across the globe. And I think where we're sitting now, everybody working from home, that technology has really helped people just stay connected. So technology has evolved. It has grown. It has made our life, simpler, and made it better. But I guess there's a lot of businesses on that spectrum where, on the one hand, some businesses are really, really just adapting to it. They're evolving. They're looking at new apps, new ways of working. They're deploying that into their businesses, and they're really trying to stay at the forefront of technology. While on the other side of the spectrum, there are businesses that are still, looking at paper-based systems, or still within their offices they've got client files, and they've got outdated systems, or they're just working on Excel and those kind of things. So they're not really sort of up to date. And I think where we are finding ourselves at the moment is that we do see businesses a little bit scrambling over this period of time when we are in this lockdown, and they're just trying to engage with clients and just finding ways of engaging with clients. And that's why we've seen sort of tech like Zoom really skyrocketing. People are jumping onto that, downloading that app, because it's not just from a business point of view where you can collaborate, but also you can keep in touch with clients, etc. So I think technology has expanded at a rapid rate. And although I guess we, from a mobile technology point of view, humans can almost keep up with that pace, I think businesses have been very slow to adopt certain technologies in the financial services industry specifically.
That's a very interesting point you're making, to say, that humans are capable of keeping up, but businesses are the ones that slow. And I guess the bigger the business, the slower they are maybe to adopt. Although you would think that big business, would be investing a lot into that. Is that something that you see? Where is there a difference between the adoption of smaller businesses versus bigger businesses when it comes to technology?
It's quite ironic because we do find that your larger businesses, especially the ones that's been in the industry for a very long time, they still they're coming to terms with the fact that they're looking for a single instance of customer. They are, they do have fragmented systems. They're trying to get all these segments of their business to integrate with each other, to talk with each other. And although they've got the capital probably to invest and get this right, it's very hard because it's a slow process. There's a lot of decision making during that period of time. And perhaps building a strategy, they're looking ahead in terms of what they can achieve and what they can do, and they've got the money to do it, but they don't have the time, or they perhaps don't have the resources, etc. So we have those challenges on the one end, and smaller businesses, although they're a little bit more agile and they can get technology deployed, much faster, they perhaps sometimes don't have the capital to actually spend on that. So we do, again, we see very, very stark differences in terms of deploying software within businesses, no matter what their size are. But we do see some commonalities. People are looking at, just to find that single instance of a client, and wanting that sort of instance to filter through to various parts of their business, and that is I think a common thread that we're seeing throughout businesses, no matter what their size are.
Okay, that's very interesting. And there's a word you said that keeps on creeping up everywhere I'm looking. It's this word, legacy. I know back in the day when we worked for the same company, that's also always been a discussion point around, we've got this, but then the old system. And that's maybe the problem with bigger businesses, is that they've got these older systems that needs to integrate with newer systems, and that becomes quite a challenge. But let's bring it a bit to the financial advisor and the financial professional. Maybe it's a small practice, a medium-sized practice, or even in the bigger practices. When it comes to choosing your technology, I think there's a lot of challenges where people don't know where to start. They don't know really, what to consider, what is right for them. What do you find in practice? How are people going about choosing what it is that they, when they get to having to choose that technology, what's happening in practice? Do you find the same, or am I missing the point there?
No, it's actually a very good point that you're making there, Francois. There's a company by the name of LinkTank who does a survey every year within the financial services industry, and their latest survey that was released in December 2019, they actually indicated that one of the challenges of businesses, about 40% of the businesses that they surveyed, said that they're finding it very hard to find, compare, and select software. So I think with the vast amount of software options available, it does become quite daunting when you look at what is out there. Where do I start? It's a challenging experience, and that survey actually showed us that is really the case. We see it with businesses as well. They perhaps over the last couple of years they made a number of decisions to try and expand its technology within their business, only to almost start back at square one, just purely because their technology strategy didn't evolve as they were starting to deploy technology within their business. So certainly those challenges are there, and it makes it a little bit difficult for a company just to almost get a starting point, and then from that starting point grow the strategy from a technology point of view out.
Yeah. I mean, where do you think we're going wrong with this? Again, working with a lot of financial advisors, you see them like, every now and then they move systems. I mean, I know people that's moved from Xplan to other systems, and that's moved from other systems to Xplan. And every now and then they get like, no, this isn't working for me. And then they want to change again. And I mean, is there any sort of thing to say, well, where did we go wrong in our initial decision? Or is it a case of what you thought you got was not necessarily what you got? I believe it's the first thing where we don't do a proper needs analysis properly, and we don't exactly understand what it is we want. That's one part of it. There's a few other things that then play to that after you implement the system. But just initially, before you make a decision on any technology, it doesn't even have to be, I'm not talking just about, we can talk about CRMs, we can talk about communication systems, you can talk about any kind of system in your business. Some idea maybe where people go wrong and things that they should focus on before they make a choice or before they get to that point of starting to even look at different systems?
I think there's a number of reasons why we get it wrong. I'm not going to just pinpoint it on one. I think every single business out there is quite unique. They got unique systems that they work on. They got different ways of working. They got different personalities, different amount of staff. So there's a number of reasons why businesses get it wrong. And I guess the starting point is that majority of business don't have a technology strategy in place. One of LinkTank's survey results also was that 60% of businesses only review their technology strategy between 1 and 3 years. And with technology moving as quickly as it is, waiting 3 years just to revisit your technology strategy is way too long. That should be a topic, in your agenda, almost on a monthly basis. So I think, people don't have or businesses don't have a technology strategy in place. If they do, they don't revisit it often enough. They also just take too long to actually do anything. So they try and overcomplicate things. They try and look too far down the line. It's one thing to actually have a good vision for your business in terms of your whole technology ecosystem, but you also don't want to take 5 years just to get a strategy in place before you actually do anything. And that leads to a lot of indecision. We see big businesses. There's a lot of staff movement. So people that you talk to in the beginning and put a strategy in place, and somebody new comes in and they relook at that strategy, and again, then nothing happens. There's a lot of other things as well. I mean, there's projects that is instituted, and then there's project creep that comes in, and other challenges, or there's a merger or acquisition, and then you have to change your way of thinking. There's maybe not enough capital within the business to actually get a strategy in place, or to actually move forward. But I think also there's a lot of businesses out there that just do nothing. They're literally just standing still, and they have this concept of, well, I've been doing the same thing for the last 20 years. Why change? So I think there's a number of aspects here. You can't just pinpoint it on one singular thing, but definitely I see those challenges in businesses across the spectrum.
And earlier you mentioned about people are still very much paper-based, and they don't automate and those kind of things. So is that an indication that we're not adopting technology to the level that we think? It's amazing. I had a conversation with somebody in the week that gave me a call on Monday, and they said that if you think about bigger FSPs, right, and you've got all these advisors working in that FSP, and suddenly you tell them, listen, you now need to use Zoom to interact with your clients, or you need to use Microsoft Teams, or you need to, like obviously the thought is, or there's always this group of people that comes to mind that they will never touch a keyboard, a key on a keyboard ever. Okay, they hardly use their phone. They use their phone to throw someone with it. That's about the best use they've got for their phone. But the feedback has been that these people have actually been adopting these things during this time where they don't have a choice. And that was quite an interesting thing for me. So I think this is actually a fantastic opportunity now where, I don't know, the current circumstances are showing us what is actually possible and that we don't have to be afraid of these technologies. It can be a great help. So do you think that maybe that adoption rate is now going to go up? Already we've seen that with things like Zoom. I shared that graph with you where Zoom has just skyrocketed in terms of adoption suddenly. They get more downloads than most of the big social media platforms combined at the moment. So do you think that that's going to happen? And is it going to last? What's going to happen after this?
Yeah, it's a tough question to answer. I think after this, definitely our behavior and our thinking will change within business in terms of how we engage with our clients. It's frightening to think that there are businesses out there that do not have any type of CRM system or client management system where perhaps their client contact details are all in paper files at the office, and now being working from home, they can't even access, their client list. And you're right when you're saying that there are businesses out there that they don't even have laptops that can do Zoom calls, etc. They have to perhaps look at their phones to now try and scramble and get in contact with their clients. But certainly, I think this is definitely a time of rethinking how we engage, just not with our own businesses, but how those businesses actually engage with the end consumer. During this period of time, you can just imagine how people are and consumers are worried about their investments. Markets are falling. There's a number of things happening. Iress, we're very privileged to be part of the essential services in the country during this lockdown because we do, as you rightly said, offer software services to the JSE and the financial services industry. And we basically moved our operations to people's homes about 2 weeks ago. We did extensive testing in terms of making sure that we are able to facilitate this and that we can actually help our clients, businesses managing their clients. So we've done some great work and I'm very proud to say that we are running this business from people's homes, and I think that is probably moving forward what a lot of businesses out there are going to be looking at. How do you engage with your own clients, and things like client portals and online portals are I think going to be it's going to become, I think, more relevant rather than the robo-advice. We've, again, just referring back to the survey that LinkTank has done, roughly about 70% of financial services businesses in the country don't have any form of online digital engagement or a platform to service their clients or just engage with their clients. And that's actually a frightening figure, and I think a client portal is going to become extremely more relevant moving forward rather than the robo-advice, because we do see that consumers want to be in touch with their financial advisors during this period of time. They still want to transact. They want to have that human interaction, even though it is digital or via Zoom or a Skype or WhatsApp call, whatever. They do want to chat with their advisors to find out what is happening, what should they do. They still want to transact. There are clients out there that want to update their beneficiaries, and they just need to drop a digital signature somewhere and send it back to their financial advisor, and the financial advisor still need to be able to get in contact with their product suppliers, etc. So all of that now needs to happen remotely, and I think a lot of financial advisors really will realize the impact that a client portal or things like chatbots and video conferencing, all those kind of things, what impact that will have on their businesses. And I guess we're going to have a new way of working, and technology is going to form the backbone of that moving forward.
Yeah. I've got a friend, a very good friend of mine, that we've spoken about this twice now in the last week, where he's got a client who needs to sign something for one of the insurance companies, but they don't have a printer at home. They don't have a scanner. There's no way for them to sign and get that stuff back. And it's something that they need to do urgently, because they want to do the payment holidays thing on their product because they're unable to pay, and the debit orders went off or is going off today. Not an April Fool's joke. It's really going off today on the 1st of April. But that's a real challenge, and the amazing thing is how many of these product providers are not accepting some of the forms of electronic signature anyway, where they have an issue with something. I'm not sure what exactly that is, but I mean, surely then this time again is going to force them to say, well, we've got to change these requirements that we've got and what we insist on if you want to transact with us in terms of that. Barrie, I've been part of conversations a lot of the time with businesses, be it small or bigger businesses. And maybe we've already really answered this question throughout the morning, but I'm just wondering, if you look at corporates, for example, I mean, smaller businesses, I understand when they go with gut feeling, or I ask my friend, or I look at what most financial advisors are using in their businesses, and it often comes down to a cost consideration where you decide based on cost what system you're getting. But you get bigger businesses that they've got this rigorous due diligence process where they go through, when they decide on a particular system. And then you find that the users don't adopt the system. You find that they have difficulties with the system being slow or the system falling over or things like that during a process. I mean, my opinion, I'm going to give you my opinion, and then you can maybe latch onto that. But I think it's also a question of businesses trying to build these intricate systems and have everything that you can possibly think of integrate with these systems, and that's usually where. And that's the thing that users don't see at the back end of a system is all of the other technologies that needs to talk to the systems, and everything needs to talk. And if one thing breaks somewhere else, it's not necessarily even the system that they've implemented. And this is something I've seen over and over and over again, regardless of the system. I don't know. What is your take on that? Do you think it is an issue, or are businesses on the right track trying to integrate every single thing that they can think of, or should they be keeping things simpler?
I think it just boils down to the company. One of the things you mentioned there is your user adoption, and we do often see that there's a little bit of a disconnect between what the business wants to implement and the strategy that they're undertaking, and what the users actually want. So the advice that we often give our clients is that there needs to be a really effective change management process throughout deploying your technology strategy, but also make your users part of that journey. Don't leave them out. Consult with them, find out how they're working, what they want to achieve, and make them part of it. Don't keep them isolated and make decisions within the business, and then right at the end, you just almost like putting their technology in front of them and then expecting them to use it. Because us humans, we do tend to, it's difficult to change, and we form habits, but those habits can be broken. I think what a lot of businesses also get wrong is that they're trying to overcomplicate things. And again, as I mentioned, it's great to have a technology strategy in place, and that looks at your business objectives and where you want to go and where you want to be in 5 or 10 years from now. But I think where companies get it wrong is that they tend to do too much at once, and perhaps they just need to slow it down a little bit and take it one step at a time. Just look at your own business, look at your inefficiencies within the business, look at where you can be more effective, where you can be more cost effective, where you can be more flexible, etc. Look at that within your own business, look at your users, look at what they're doing, and take almost baby steps, but move forward rather than doing nothing. And I think that's a message for most businesses out there, is that don't try and overanalyze things and move too quickly on that. There are businesses that get it right. They've got huge amounts of capital to spend, and they can get it right almost overnight. But it's really more a technological journey. It's not a we just do one thing and we never look at it again. It's really looking at a long term and evolving your plan as you go along. And regardless of your size, whether or not you're a small business or a large corporate, that's sort of how you need to look at it. It's get one thing done, get it right, look at what the next step is, get that right and expand it. Technology changes so much over time as well that, you might have a 3-year project to get your tech right in a business, but over those 3 years, there's new technologies, and your plan needs to be able to adapt to that as well, just to make sure that you are aligned with what's happening in the technology space and software space as well.
So, I mean, that sort of answers my question that I wanted to actually ask you next. Is like, what would be the best approach for businesses to follow when they start adopting technology and when they start introducing technology more and more into their business, or even if they've already got a certain level of technology that they use, but they want to go more. So I just want to summarize what you said so we don't repeat sort of the same information on my question. It's just that, start with your inefficiencies. I usually tell people, start with things that are very repetitive in nature and that you could possibly look at automation kind of thing, but go then and look at inefficiencies. So where are things taking a lot of time and a lot of effort, where people could be doing other things that are valuable, and start with those things, because the small win today may seem like, look, we're saving 10 seconds here. This doesn't really add up. But you do that 5 times a day, and you do it every day, every week, every month, every year. Suddenly it becomes quite a number of hours during the year that you've saved because of that small thing. And then what you said was take it one step at a time. So that's very, very important, so that you don't try and adopt everything at once. Build it one brick at a time. Do one thing, sort it out, move on to the next thing, sort it out, move on to the next thing, and don't be on a rush. And I actually listened to a podcast recently, Kate Holmes's podcast, Innovating Advice, and she interviewed a guy from Australia, Stephen or Stefan, I can't remember now exactly his name, but he was also speaking about sort of the same concept, where it says you're on a journey, and expect that to be a 3-year journey. Don't expect it to be an overnight thing. And possibly that's where most people go wrong. We're impatient. We want everything to be done overnight, kind of thing. And I think the other problem is this whole idea about the technology that we are implementing are being sold by management to the users in terms of like in the business that's going to incorporate or implement this, that everybody gets so excited and then they want everything right now. And that puts a lot of pressure on the things. And that's just from my experience, Barry. So I'll sort of summarize. You can just say, yes, you agree, or no, you don't agree. But that's sort of what I gather from that point that you've made. So we're almost at the 8:30 mark. So I quickly want to run through some comments on the chat, if you don't mind. I see there is a couple of questions there, so we can answer them. And then there's one last thing that I just quickly want to talk about that I saw on LinkedIn that was very interesting to me, and I would like to learn more about that. There's a lot of people saying good morning. Dirk says there have been no meaningful updates or upgrades to X-Plan for a long time. I don't fully agree, but okay. The system is slow and way behind other international CRM tools in its interface and feel. Is this not Iress's focus anymore? Barry, I don't know, is that something that you can comment on?
Again, maybe some points there that I don't totally agree with. Iress we don't technically sell a CRM system, so all of our financial planning tools, etc., is run via the CRM. So we're not a CRM vendor. We are a financial services software company. But with that being said, we are putting a huge amount of capital expenditure within our software, and we constantly looking at ways of how we can improve our client expectations and client experience. So certainly moving ahead, we are trying to be as innovative as possible, and certainly you will see some new and enhanced features coming through, not just on our CRM, but with all of our tools.
Yeah, that's great, because I know there's a lot of work that's been done on the tool side, specifically because I was involved with that. Then a mutual friend of ours, Scott Bell, I don't know if you remember Scott, like long time, eh?
Yep.
So Scotty is asking, Barry, would you agree that it is not enough for companies to simply have a digital strategy, but to rather create a strategy for a digital environment? So Scott has got me there a little bit, but hopefully if you can answer that, I'll also be with.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's still this concept between whether or not the financial advisor is going to be obsolete in some point in the future. And I think technology basically enables the financial advisor to make decisions, maybe just faster. But certainly, I think, every single business out there should have a digital strategy or a technology strategy, but that doesn't take away the human element of it, and I think that's the balance that we need to get right in the financial services industry. It's not a one or the other. It's definitely a package deal, and that's what companies need to understand as well.
Yeah, cool. Let me see. Neil Phillips is asking, can Xplan Pro users have client portals?
Yes, so any Xplan client, apart from some of our central services clients, but yes, all Xplan clients can have the client portal. In fact, our client portal is free of charge. We are enabling all of our clients now, during this period of time to actually just get in touch with us. Our account managers are also getting in touch with all the financial advisors at this point in time, and we will be enabling the client portal on all of our Xplan sites, bar one or two of the central services Xplan sites.
Okay, awesome. Let me see quickly. So Peter Strydom from Enhance IFA, he says, we built our own system based upon our needs, and whilst we have a very comprehensive CRM, we have concentrated more on advice processes, client communication, record keeping, and self-help portal, and it's working really well. So if I remember correctly, what Peter and them did was build their own technology stack, which is also something that I've said on a number of occasions that's possibly also where things may go for some people in the future, is where they won't get it all in one system. They may be looking at building technology stacks using the best of breed for different kind of things. So yes. Neil says Xplan has been great for automating repetitive processes, saves plenty of time. Yes, definitely. And 100%. All right, Razan, good morning, Razan. She says 100% on keeping the human element in a digital environment. I think that's going to be the challenge. How do we not become the robot on the other side kind of thing, and how do we keep our humanness in this whole thing? I just quickly want a last question before I get to my last question to you. On YouTube, I've got Sean Nicholson. He's asking, what are some of Barry's top tips for advisory firms during these times? Barry, think on your feet.
I think the best advice is stay in contact with your clients via any means. If even just a telephone call, a Zoom call, WhatsApp, even if you just want to use Xplan and send them a statement. I think the most important thing at this point in time is just stay engaged with your clients. We do see clients being extremely nervous over this period of time, and they're perhaps going to try and make decisions that will impact their long-term wealth. And I think this is where advisory firms play a really, really key part in the financial services industry, is to keep clients calm and keep them aligned with their strategy. And if you can do that via any technological means, then I think that's probably what the key focus should be over this period of time.
Yeah, awesome advice. I fully agree to that. All right, Barry. So the last thing as I mentioned earlier, that I saw on LinkedIn, was it the end of last week? Yeah, I think it was the end of last week. It was that Iress launched a support hub or something like that, to help during this coronavirus times that we're in at the moment. So they're offering free support in terms of any technology to any person, not just only Xplan clients, but anybody, as far as I've got it. Can you tell me just a bit more about why did Iress decide to do this? Why did they decide to start a support hub like this?
So Iress is a global company, and I think some of the challenges that we're facing in South Africa is not unique just to our clients here. We see these challenges being faced all across the world, and we do fully support the financial services industry and all the advisors and staff within that environment. And we've obviously have built up some research. We've got a lot of knowledge to share, and we created this Iress support hub during this time. And what it is just it's free technology related information to the financial services industry. So it's not open. Just obviously, we do have some information there just regarding Iress and our business continuity planning during the coronavirus, period of lockdown and how to work remotely. But it's also open to anyone. Anybody can visit that site, and it just gives a range of guidance, in terms of tools, information, how to service clients remotely, how to access information securely, what are kind of the things that you can look at this point in time to service your clients. Like I mentioned, video conferencing, client portals, digital signatures, chatbots, online communities, etc. So we've just really wanted to share information to the full financial services industry in terms of assisting clients to be able to service their own clients remotely during this period of time.
Okay, awesome. So I think I've put up on the system, where can people access this support? There's a website that you can go to, iress.com/coronavirus-support. So if you're from the Free State like me, / and dash may mean exactly the same thing to you. So that's why I've put it up on the screen. But there's the address that you can go and visit. Go check it out and see, if you need any help with technology, etc. And yesterday as well, I also shared some information about LinkTank that's also offering some support. And Barry has mentioned LinkTank a couple of times today. So if you need any help with your technology and ideas, or you get stuck somewhere, you need some help, go check out these resources. I think they are invaluable. And that I've got another announcement to make after this. But before I do that, Barry, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. I think I stole, looks like 6 minutes of your time. I'm very sorry for that, but thank you very much. It was a very insightful conversation. I wish we could have gone for the whole hour. Thanks for your time and for everything you're doing. And I will chat to you soon, and keep well.
Thank you, Francois. Yeah, thank you again for giving me the time to have a chat with you this morning. It was great seeing you again. And good luck to all the financial advisors out there. During this period of time, it's a hard time for all of us. But we can get through this as a community, and we will get out of this stronger. So thanks for your time, and thanks everybody for watching online.
Awesomeness. Thank you, Barry. Keep well and stay safe. Eh?
Bye bye.
Cheers, man. Alrighty, so that was Barrie van Zyl from Iress. He's the head of account management here in South Africa for Iress. And Iress does actually a lot of things. I was quite amazed when I got to work with him a bit more since 2016. I've always been working alongside Iress with a couple of things, but it was very interesting, to get to learn about what they actually do. It's they've got many different areas in the business. It's really, really a big business. And they offer some exciting and interesting solutions. And, from that point of view, I really think that they're doing a great job. And, I think it's hard to come back to some of the comments this morning. It's hard to always keep everybody happy when it comes to technology. And I've got my views certainly around it. And I've spoken about that in some of the sessions that I've done. But it's also maybe something that I can do in a future session. The announcement that I would like to make is that I'm going to be having another guest next week, Tuesday. And we are going to be talking to somebody who's been working remotely for years, somebody who has managed teams remotely for years, and somebody who was managed remotely for years, who's got practical experience. And she's created actually a program that people can go through to help us adjust to this. But that's not what the session is going to be about. We're going to be talking about, what it's like to work from home, just everything that you need to consider and how you can make it better and easier. And if you are managing teams, what are the tips and tricks and things that you can look at, etc. So I'm really looking forward to that. We'll be sending out the information a day or so in advance. But please, join us for that as well. But otherwise, I'm here every day from 8 a.m. in the morning every day. It gives me purpose and it keeps me sane to know that I've got to be here and we've got to be prepared for a session. And that's really what it is. So I just want to ask, is there any more questions? Let me just have a look on LinkedIn. If there's anything else. I see Neil said, thank you, Barry. It's comforting knowing you are there to support us during these trying times. Thanks, Neil. For that. So if there's any other questions, guys, anything, it doesn't even have to relate to technology, anything at the moment that you want me to answer for you. That was really, when we started the show, that was the main purpose. And I quickly realized I need to talk about stuff to keep you entertained and to provide value. I can't just wait for people to ask me questions, but you're welcome to ask me any kind of question that you like. If there's not, then today I'm going to end maybe a little bit early. But from that point of view, I'm here to answer your questions. Some of the things that we'll be talking about tomorrow and the rest of the week. There's one more person that I'm trying. I'm busy going through a recording of a session that they've done to sort of see what it's about, so that I can see whether it will add value to you. But that is somebody from Oz that I want to get onto the show to talk about, again, technology. And particularly, how you can communicate and that kind of thing. So that was also very interesting. I'm sort of halfway through that session. So if I get to finish that somewhere late at night, then I can definitely. I've already had contact with him to see if we can get him onto the show. So that's one thing. I'll also be talking about productivity. We'll be talking about how to do different things as well. So give you some practical tips and tricks and things to do when you do different things. And but if there's any specific ideas of things that you would like, you're welcome to send that to me. I really appreciate. I've had lots of emails and WhatsApp messages, so thank you very, very much for people that are doing that and sending me information. I really, really appreciate it. And just the odd thank you also, does wonders for my motivation, and it inspires me to just keep on evolving and doing things better for you. But we learn as we go along. And if there's anything you would like to know, or anything you would like me to teach you or show you or share with you, then please let me know. Even if you email me afterwards on info@francois.co.za. You're also welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn. I welcome that, and please consider subscribing to the show. So let me see over on YouTube. I had Chris Roo saying, morning, Chris. Nice to have you here. Thank you for joining us. Anthony, back for more. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And then Shahida in Cape Town as well. Shahida, thank you very much. Very nice to have you here. I really appreciate it. Let us see quickly. We've had so many comments today on LinkedIn, so thank you for that. We've had Johan Vosloo. Johan, good morning. I don't know if you're still there, but good morning. Dirk, we already spoke to. Morning, Dirk. Then Terence, Old Faithful, thank you very much. Richard Hand, back for more today. You were here yesterday as well. Shurieta, thank you very much for being here. Slanganani, Frans Hatting, nice to see you. Jane, welcome back. Neil Strydom, welcome back. Robin, good morning. Then we've got Peter. Good morning, Peter. Thank you for being here. Neil Phillips, also Old Faithful, being here every day. Thank you very much. Kobus Klein, thank you so much. Kobus says, good morning, my fellow financial professionals. Another great morning to wake up, dress up, news up, and up your game during COVID-19 lockdown. But let's not shut down and keep building your legacy and brand. And he says, just thanks to me for my commitment to adding value. It's a pleasure, Kobus. Thank you for those kind words. I appreciate it. One thing that I was thinking about yesterday that I think is very important that we need to think about and that we need to consider is, and a lot of people, everybody's in this panic mode and they're starting to hold on to money. They're not spending money, or if they do spend money, we're spending it on food and things like that. But if we really think about it, if we want to keep things going, shouldn't we keep on doing the things that we were doing before, for those of us who it's possible for, but just do it from a different place, like a physical, how you're doing it from home instead of doing it at the office. But we should keep things going. And I think even the president, the first time they announced the lockdown, said that people who are able to work should continue to work and produce. And that's what we should be doing. So it's not now a case of starting to hoard everything, possibly. We must really just think about this, because, this is like the stock market. It always seems to amaze me when people pull money out of the stock market and the stock market crashes. I'm always of the opinion that is because what if everybody just decides we're never going to sell? I know it doesn't work. Things have to come down. They have to go up. I'm just theoretically thinking about this. Like, what happens if we just never panic? What happens if we just always buy and buy and buy and buy, and you never, you don't let emotions take over, and you don't let, let's have a panic sell or whatever. Those are the kind of things that I think about, and it feels to me like this is sort of the same situation now that's happening. Everybody's just holding on because we don't know what's happening, and there's obviously many different sides to this, because there's people who've already lost their jobs, there's people that are ill, there's people like myself and you most probably that are able to work from home, A lot of jobs are not able to work from home. This morning, I said to Barry before the time, I'm thinking, I don't know why, but this morning I'm thinking about photographers and videographers. Those kind of people, tattoo artists, hairdressers, those people that have to touch people, beauticians. What do they do during this time? How can they add value? How can they keep going? Is it even possible? So there are jobs that are really hit hard by this whole lockdown. And we need to have empathy and for that and understand the impact that it's got and really sort of see, like when we do things, my message to this is just let's keep doing what we can. Let's do business with one another if we can, because that at least keeps things moving. What we don't want is a complete standstill and then trying to reboot from there. That may be a bit more difficult. Johan Blomeres, he says, "Bye, dankie, ou vriend. It's my pleasure, my maat. Thank you very much for being here. I appreciate it." Mark Dungbar, now it's coffee time and start the day. Yes, absolutely. I didn't bring my coffee this morning because I was in too much of a rush to get here and test everything with Barry. And then I had such a nice chat with him before the time that I forgot to go and get my coffee. So that's my bad. Let me see some more comments here on LinkedIn. Peter says, with baby boomers starting to fall off their purchase, the challenge for advisors is now how to retain investments that have been handed down to the millennials. Yes, that is definitely a challenge. I agree with that. And it's always been a thing, when was it? In 2013, I think I sat with an advisor. It was a long time ago. I sat with the advisor, and it was the same thing where he had a couple of deaths in his practice of clients that died, and then the money went to the children, and there went the money. And I said to him, you know what, you need to have a strategy of how do we build relationships with those children in order to sort of keep some of that money. They will always go and do what they want to do, because often when children inherit money, they want to pay off their mortgage, they want to pay off their cars, or go on this massive trip, or whatever it is that they want to do, because they're young and they want to experience life. So I get that. But if we can start and try and walk a path with those children, from a long time, from the time that you start working with the parents, and you also start building a relationship with them, then that I think is a great thing to do. How to do it exactly, I don't know. I'm not the best person to maybe tell you exactly how to connect with children and how to do things at their level and to make it fun and engaging and get them interested in this stuff, because probably most parents don't talk, well, not probably, I know the stats are there that most parents don't discuss finances with their children. They don't involve them. So that is a very big value add that you could do, because you may take that burden off of the parents. And there are some programs and things available, etc., that you could use, or that you could consult in ways to get ideas and ways of how to do that. But ultimately, if that money is handed down to, and I don't think it's a millennial thing, I think it's just to a younger generation, doesn't matter when they were born. When it goes from the parent to the child, there's always a difference in generational approaches and have you. So those things are things that we can do and consider, but that's something you need to do now already to benefit from it later when something happens. It's too late to now want to talk to children if the parents have already passed away. Doug says, look into IntelliFlow. Okay, I will definitely also do that. I like to learn about technology and the new things. So let me just say IntelliFlow. Peter says many millennials are quite tech savvy. So that is another reason to have an effective technology plan. Yeah, it's interesting. We had a very interesting conversation. We think that they are tech savvy. I want to say they're social media savvy. I don't think they're tech savvy. I think that's just my experience. I look at my own children; they can do Instagram like a boss, but if it comes to proper technology use and things, they're not quite there. And that's just what it is. So we shouldn't be mistaking the fact that millennials or younger people are very tech savvy if they only really know how to post their selfies and write things that goes with that, or make videos, or that's part of being tech savvy, but it is not the only thing that makes you tech savvy. If that was the case, then robo-advice would have taken off completely, and it didn't. Simply because people still want the advice. Even if they get to the answer on the computer, they still want to talk to someone. So they may prefer to maybe engage with things. But I mean, I work with a lot of people where I see, you know what, you send them and then they will tell you, and it doesn't matter their age. They will tell you, I don't know how to do that. So those are something that I'm just seeing. Neil Phillips says, I've used financial education for children of clients over the years, and I'm now picking up the children's business. It's a long-term. Absolutely, Neil, thank you. You're echoing exactly what I'm saying. And I want to commend you for doing that, because not a lot of people think to focus on the children. I tell the story about, a friend of my father's that used to send us in the post a birthday card every single year, and that leaves an impression on you, and you remember that forever. And that means that one would get to that. When you do look to doing business, those are the people that you will remember and that but what you're doing is adding real value. Richard says, on weekends I photograph running events like trail runs and other sporting events. This income stream has come to a grinding halt. Sorry to hear that, Richard. And yeah, I feel for the photographers who do this as a full-time profession. Yes, and I guess the options are, you know what, it's like, okay, it's other situation of that is done, now I'm done. Or what else could one do? Because what you could do is teach other people how to use their cameras better, how to use their phone camera better, so I think there's lots of other stuff that one could do in that space, but taking photographs is not going to happen. What you could do is possibly look at, I don't know, if you could get creative in your space, what kind of things one could do in order to get photographs that one could sell, etc. But anyway, I don't know. I don't have the answers. But those are things that I would consider in that space. And one would just need to take a breath. And like we said yesterday, just quiet your mind. Just think, if you panic, quiet your mind, sit down, and then look at where you are, and then start and make plans from there. But there may be an answer, or it's pushing you in another direction. I always say life has got a way of pushing us in a direction where we need to go. All right. So that's about it for today. I'm not gonna linger on. I've answered all the questions I think that I can see here on my LinkedIn. Thank you very much, guys, for all the engagement. I really appreciate it. Please connect with me and with Barry on LinkedIn. We welcome that, and have a fantastic day. I'll see you back tomorrow, same time, same place. And I hope that you will stay safe and that you will have a fantastic time. And, let's do this.